Hello, my name is Kathy Komprass. I'm a member of Ottawa StoryTellers, and so I'm here to share stories. Stories from the jungle, the mighty jungle. But the lion doesn't sleep in the jungle. In these stories, the lion growls and prowls and meets a number of different creatures: hippopotamus, rhinoceros, wild hare, stinging insects, and a turtle. So to begin, clap your thighs and clap your hands, but quietly. Flee,
Flee,
fly,
fly,
flee, fly,
flee, fly,
flee, fly, mosquito.
flee, fly, mosquito.
Oh, no, not mosquito.
Oh, no, not mosquito.
Itchy, scratchy. Ooh, I've got one down my backy.
Itchy, scratchy. Ooh, I got one down my back.
Beat that big bad bug with an ear flick.
Beat that big bad bug with an ear flick.
Now, back in the days when Africa was a green grassy plain with a bowl of blue sky tipped over the top, Hippo did not look like the animal we see today. Oh no, in those long ago, far off times, Hippo was hairy, Hippo was handsome, and Hippo was not humble. In those days, Hippo's body was covered with soft, silky hair, the color of caramel-covered toffee apples, the color of peanut butter when you open a fresh jar. And Hippo had a long, elegant tail that swished through the grass on the veld. And all around Hippo's ears were soft curls, like you'd see on the back of a baby lamb. Oh yes, Hippo was hairy, Hippo was handsome, and Hippo was not humble. Each morning, Hippo would walk down to the banks of the Zambezi River, turn his head and look at his left profile. "You are a handsome hippo," he'd groan. Then he'd turn a bit to the right. "Look at the right profile. Ooh, you're a hairy hippo." And then, to finish off, Hippo would look at himself full face in the river and sigh. "You are a handsome, hairy, happy hippo." But one day, Hippo didn't stop there. Hippo went on to badmouth some of the other animals in the jungle. "I'm certainly glad I'm a hippo. I wouldn't want to be an ostrich. Those feathers, they'd itch. And to be a giraffe that had a neck that went for miles, I think that's terrible. Zebras, they're black and white. People would read them like the newspaper. But you know, I think the very worst thing a creature could be is a wild hare. Imagine having back legs that were bigger than your front legs. Imagine having ears that flipped into your face. And imagine having a tail that was no bigger than a puff of dried dandelion. Nope, I think the worst thing it could be would to be a hare. Well, it just so happened that Umvundla, which is what the Zulu people call a wild hare, was resting in a grassy hollow. Umvundla heard their name being taken in vain, and they sat up on those two big back legs. They lifted up those two little front legs, and then Umvundla whispered, "Okay, Hippo, let's duke it out." Fortunately, Hippo didn't hear, and that gave Umvundla time to think of another plan. Umvundla waited until Hippo got tired and lay down on the bank of the river. As soon as Hippo was asleep, that wild hare scurried around, collecting great armfuls of dry veld grass and wrapped it near where Hippo was sleeping. And then, just like that, try it, Umvundla headed over to the nearest village, the village where the Ndebele people live. And there, Umvundla borrowed, and I'd better tell the truth, stole a glowing hot coal, wrapped it in a banana leaf, and headed back to where Hippopotamus was sleeping. Umvundla dropped the coal in the dry grass and blew on it. You ready? And when the grass was burning nicely, try that. And if your fingers are flexible enough, when the grass was crackling and snapping, Umvundla shouted, "Hippopotamus, your bed's on fire." Hippo looked up. Hippo jumped up, and Hippo did absolutely the worst thing you can do if you're in a fire. Hippo started to run up and down the riverbank, and the breeze caught Hippo's silken hair, and pretty soon Hippo was looking like a marshmallow that had gotten too close to the campfire, was all puffed up and black and crispy. Now, if Hippo had only thought to do what?
Stop, drop, and roll.
He'd have been okay. But Hippo didn't think of that. Hippo kept running and running until finally, when his legs were tired, he dove into the river. Oh, the water was so cool. It was so soft. It made the skin on Hippo's back feel cool and comfortable. Hippo stayed in the river for a long time, but finally he came out and, force of habit, went to admire himself. But what Hippo saw was horrifying. Hippo was no longer hairy. Hippo was no longer handsome. Hippo was gray and brown and bald and bare. Hippo had great rolls of flesh under their front legs. Hippo's long swishing tail resembled half a pretzel stick. And Hippo's ears were rather like overcooked potato chips. Hippo was horrified, and Hippo dove back in to the river. Hippo stayed there. In fact, Hippo stays there to this day. Hippo just comes out at night to grab mouthfuls of river grass and leaves before going back to hide under the water. And Umvundla? Well, that wild hare sits on a grassy knoll and flee, fly, flee, fly, flee, fly, flee, fly, mosquito. Oh, no, 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 not mosquito. Oh, no, 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 not mosquito. Itchy, itchy, scratchy, scratchy. Ooh, I've got one down my backy. Beat that big bad bug with an ear flick. Over the ocean and across the sea, in the beautiful land of Sri Lanka, a turtle was tottering along the banks of a muddy river, stopping to nibble grass. Coming the other direction was a loud and bad-tempered lion. "What are you doing on the bank of my river?" "Oh, having a bite to eat," answered the turtle. "Good," said Lion, "because I was about to have a bite to eat, and I think I'll bite you." "No," said the turtle. "Yes," said Lion. "Now get out of your shell." "No, thank you," Turtle answered. "Look," Lion roared, "don't make me repeat myself. I said get out of your shell and do it now." "I'm staying where I am," answered Turtle, and Turtle tucked in their head and their tail. Turtle pulled in all 4 legs. "Get out!" "No." Lion picked Turtle up, and he shook the turtle and shook the turtle, and oh, Turtle started to get a dreadful headache. Then Lion threw Turtle down to the bank of the muddy river, and Turtle rolled over and over, and their stomachs started to roll over. "Now get out," Lion snapped. "No," Turtle answered. And that's when Lion realized perhaps he'd made a mistake. So Lion laughed in that kind of mean way people do when something's not funny. Give it a try. "Congratulations, Turtle. You've won the shell game. But let's have another game, another contest. Let's have a race." "What kind of race?" Turtle squeaked, trying to think of a way to get out of this. Oh, Lion chewed their lip. "Let's have a swimming race. You're a water creature. We'll swim across the river. Whoever gets to the other side first is the winner, and the winner can eat the loser." "I don't eat meat," Turtle said. "Doesn't matter," Lion explained. "I do. And since I am going to be the winner, I'll eat you, and there'll be no problem." Turtle raised their head and said, "Lion, can you actually see the other side of the river?" Lion squinted. While they were talking, the sun had set, and since there are no street lights in the jungles of Sri Lanka, it was as dark as the caretaker's cleaning closet when the light bulb breaks. "Aw." "Well," Lion announced, "we'll have the race first thing in the morning, and I can eat you for breakfast." Lion flopped down on a grassy tussock, and pretty soon Turtle heard Lion snoring. And Turtle began to totter along the edge of the muddy river, looking for a friend. When the first turtle found a second turtle, the first one said, "Friend, you've got to help me. In the morning, I'm having a race with the lion." Second turtle shook their head. "It's not going to work. Everyone knows lions are fast, and turtles are slow. You can't win." "Ah," First Turtle explained, "I have a plan." And the 2 turtles put their heads together. Next morning, when Lion came down to the banks of the muddy river, there was Turtle with a red hibiscus flower clutched in their beak. "Good morning," Turtle said. Lion looked. "Good morning, but why do you have a flower in your beak?" "Oh," Turtle explained, "it's just because there are a lot of turtles in this river. I thought if I had a red flower, you'd know which one was in the race." "Good plan," Lion nodded. "Now, you do remember the rules. We're going to swim across the river. Whoever gets there first is the winner, and the winner gets to eat the loser." "Yes, I remember," Turtle said. "And you do know, Lion, that turtles swim under the water. It's our nature." Yeah. Lion shook his head. "Now, Turtle, you'll count 3, and people on this side of the room will be the turtles and do the counting. And then I will shout 'go,' this side of the room, you're going to be the lion and you'll shout, go. All right, Turtle, are you ready? 1,
2,
3, go! Splash! Lion and Turtle jumped into the muddy river. Turtle sank to the bottom. Lion reached out with long, strong paws and pussy paddled across the river. When Lion got to the far side, there was Turtle sitting on the bank with that red hibiscus flower in their mouth. How'd you do that? Lion asked. I swam, Turtle answered. Lion climbed up on the bank, shaking his head, and Turtle announced, since I got here first, I won, and I can go free, and since I'm a vegetarian, I won't eat you. I hope that's all right, Lion. Plop, Turtle disappeared under the water. And Lion spent the entire afternoon trying to figure out how a turtle could be that fast. And that evening, 2 turtles met under the muddy river. Thank you, friend, said the first one. I could never have done that without you. Think nothing of it, answered the second turtle. It's just what one friend does for another. On an awesome autumn afternoon, Umvundala, the wild hare, as the Zulu people call him, was sitting in a grassy hollow. Umvundala tapped one back foot. Umvundala was bored. There was nothing to do, and there was no one to do it with. Giving their tail a flick, Umvundala headed towards the riverbank. And as Umvundala got near to the river, a rabbity smile broke out on their hare lip. For there in the river was Hippopotamus eating grass. And up on the bank on the other side was Rhinoceros getting comfortable under the shade of an acacia tree. Just like that, try it. Umvundala slid down the riverbank and said, Hippopotamus, let's have a tug of war. Hippo rolled his eyes. Umvundala, if we did that, I'd pull you into the river and you would drown. No, said Umvundala, I'm stronger than I look. And that little wild hare held up their front paws and made the muscles ripple. Hippo just rolled his eyes again. But Umvundala begged and pleaded, pestered, prodded, and prayed until finally, to get a moment's peace, Hippopotamus said, all right, but you find the rope. Umvundala was off into the jungle. They didn't find rope, but they did find a long creeper vine. Umvundala brought that vine back and tied it around Hippo's left hind leg. Now, said Umvundala, I will go up on the bank. I will stand on the termite mound, and when I'm ready, I'll shout pull. And Hippo, you pull with all your might, and we'll see what happens. Hippo just put his snout in the water and blew bubbles. Umvundala scurried up the bank and across to where the acacia tree was growing. Rhino had fallen asleep. Umvundala knew that because they tickled Rhino under the chin. And that's what Umvundala wanted. That little wild hare began to pick up stinging red ants and put them in Rhino's ear. When Umvundala had filled Rhino's ear, they just stopped for a minute and watched. Rhino's eyes were beginning to blink, and then Rhino's ears started to flick, and then Rhino rubbed her head against the acacia tree. So Umvundala knew things were ready. Rhinoceros, you gotta look out. The red ants are coming in your ear. They might sting you. Rhinoceros raised her neck. I think they're there. My head hurts. It sounds like a grade 6 class with indoor recess in there. What should I do? Well, Umvundala told her, reach in with your hoof and pull them out. My hoof is too big, said Rhino. But Umvundala, you've got a little paw. You could take the ants out. Words Umvundala wanted to hear. They reached in Rhino's ear with one paw, but instead of scooping the ants out, Umvundala pushed them further and further in. Rhino groaned, and her eyes rolled back in her head. It hurts, Umvundala. It really hurts. Well, we could have a tug of war. It'll give you something else to think about. Anything, moaned Rhino. So Umvundala tied the other end of the rope to Rhino's right hind leg. Now you wait, Rhino, till I get at the termite mound. When I'm ready, I'll shout pull, and you pull. Umvundala climbed up to the top of the termite mound. They looked down and saw Hippo in the river, Rhino by the acacia tree, and they shouted, pull! Now, Hippo was half asleep. He'd forgotten about the hare and the tug of war, but Rhino was wide awake and in pain, so she gave a mighty jerk, and Hippo suddenly found himself halfway up the riverbank. He didn't like it, so with great front feet, he marched towards the Zambezi. Rhino, feeling her hooves dragged across the veldt, reached out with front feet and marched back to the acacia tree, pulling Hippo bit by bit up from the bank. Well, Hippo made another lurch for the river, and Rhino countered, and so back and forth they went, like a swing on the playground. Umvundala, that hare sat on the top of the termite mound and laughed and laughed and laughed until finally they slid down the mound. When that happened, Rhino and Hippo saw. They turned, and together they started to run straight towards Umvundala. Umvundala waited till the animals were about 30 centimeters away. Then Umvundala leapt up in the air, turned a somersault, and jumped to one side. Rhino and Hippo banged heads. They grunted. They backed up. They ran forward again and banged heads. After they'd done it for the third time, they turned, and shoulder to shoulder, they marched forwards towards Umvundala. Umvundala realized they'd had all the fun they were going to have that afternoon. They headed off to the forest, looking for Lion so that they could talk about the mischief they'd created. Flee, flee, fly, fly, flee, fly, flee, fly, mosquito. Flee, fly, mosquito. Oh, no, 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 not mosquito. Oh, no, 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 not mosquito. Itchy, itchy, scratchy, scratchy. Ooh, I've got one down my back.
Itchy, itchy, scratchy, scratchy. Ooh, I got one down my back.
Beat that big bad bug with an ear flick.
Beat that big bad bug with an ear flick.
And so that's the end of our time together. I won't send you off with an ear flick, but with an ear full of adventures. Thank you for your attention.
Ottawa StoryTellers is an organization that promotes the art of storytelling in our community. The organization helps nurture and inspire both beginners and experienced storytellers, and also provides tellers and listeners of all ages with opportunities to come together to share and enjoy their stories. You can join Ottawa StoryTellers for workshops, learn how to improve your storytelling, or attend their live and virtual storytelling festivals. To find out more, go to their website at ottawastorytellers.ca and ignite your imagination.